What's up, what's up? I am so pumped about this video because today we are talking about the 6 life lessons that the greatest showman can teach us all. So, very first lesson, don't let your past circumstances define you or define what your future could be. You know, the movie kind of starts where he grew up very poor, very poor. He didn't let the fact that he grew up with nothing keep him from dreaming big, keep him from going on to completely changing his stars, to changing his life. There's such an advantage to that. But oftentimes we get so stuck on just what we don't have versus taking action, thinking abundantly, and realizing that you can go out there and do anything you want, create anything you want. You just have to have the balls and you have to have the gumption to make it happen, right? The second life lesson is to never be afraid to take risks. And we're so afraid of something going wrong, or what if this doesn't work out, or what if people, make fun of me? What if people don't like it? What if nobody buys? That you get so caught up in the what ifs that you're too afraid to take a risk and put yourself out there. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I loved from The Greatest Showman, is that you can't be afraid to take risk. In the movie, he ends up taking out this huge loan from the bank to create this museum, right? And it was a huge risk because nobody had done it, right? And the other guy, played by Zac Efron, he took a huge risk by joining him in this whole circus bit, because he was into doing plays and stuff like that. And so it was a huge risk for him, and one that he didn't really want to take in the beginning. But, some risks aren't, they're not going to pan out. But you never know. You will never be able to change your life, to change your direction, if you aren't willing to take risk. And so I absolutely love that. The third thing, if something doesn't work, don't be afraid to go out and try something different. So in the movie, one thing that I loved is when he first started this whole museum, it was originally just a bunch of wax figures and crazy things like the tallest elephant or the tallest man, or all this crazy stuff, right? And people weren't really coming to this wax museum, and it was his 2 little girls in the movie who ended up, telling him you need something different, you need something that's alive. And that's when he actually went out and he started finding all these unique people and bringing, this whole group of people together. And it was, again, something didn't work in the beginning, but he wasn't afraid to try something new, and he wasn't afraid to kind of make tweaks, because here's the deal. No matter what you do in life, no matter what you do in business, some things are going to work. You never know what's going to be a hit, right? But you've got to be willing to open up. You've got to be willing to try something new. You've got to be willing to make tweaks. If you're doing something and it's not working, figure out, do something different. And if that doesn't work, do something different again, because some people, you never know what is just going to freaking click and take off. And so I definitely love that. Okay, so number 4. Critics are always going to be there, but you can't let them break you down or deter you from your goals and your dreams. So obviously with the circus, this entire movie, there are a lot of critics. All the time there's people outside of the museum, of the circus, and they're protesting because they just think that it's a bunch of freaks in there, right? What was super cool is he saw this newspaper article, right, of basically them bashing the show that he was putting on. And so what he did was he kind of used it to his advantage, and he actually said, hey, reprint this in the newspaper and put anybody who brings this article in will get half price off their ticket. And so he kind of used his critics to just skyrocket and bring even more people in. And I love that. I love that he never, he understood that they were there, but he used it to his advantage. And so anytime that you do something that's a little bit against the grain or a little bit out of the norm, so to speak, like there's gonna be people who are gonna come up against you. There's gonna be people who are gonna think you're crazy. Like I have gotten so many critics, especially with me. You know, I went to college for 8 years. And so when I decided to actually do, you know, network marketing, like people thought I was crazy. They're like, why in the world are you gonna waste, you know, 8 years of college? You have a master's degree in business. Like you need to do that as a hobby. And even still, when I do videos, I've had people come on and talk about my eyebrows and how I talk slow and how, you know, I have like the worst English and all this other stuff. Like the bigger you play, the more that people are going to try to tear you down. But you have to understand that it's not about you. It has to do with them. And for some people, I'm just going to lay it out. Like, you know, maybe it just makes them feel better to try to bring somebody else down instead of focusing on themselves, right? So moving on to the 5th life lesson that the greatest showman can teach us all. And that is only you can limit you. Like if you want to be happy, you have to go out there and make it happen. If you aren't satisfied with where you are, there's nobody that's going to come in and swoop you up and make it happen for you. So you are the only one that can limit you by your imagination. You're the only one that can limit yourself. So if you want change, you can do anything, but you've got to be willing to step up to the plate. You've got to be willing to make it happen. And last but not least, never stop dreaming and never give up. And I loved how the entire time in the movie, no matter what punches kept coming their way and how they kept getting knocked down, or, you know, the critics that came along, like they never lost sight of their dreams. They never lost sight of their goals, and they freaking went out there and they made it happen. And that is why I absolutely love this movie. I love movies because I feel like there's always lessons that can be learned from movies in some way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it be life lessons, whether it be business lessons, whether it just be relationship tips or advice. There's always something to gain. And so let me know if you've watched it and what some of your biggest takeaways from this movie are. Like, I'm very curious to know. So with that being said, those are my 6 life lessons. Hope you got some value from it. Again, feel free to share it out. And if you want more tips just like these, you can head on over to sherrybrowncoaching.com. And hope you have an amazing day. And until next time, bye.